got a transcript. I reviewed it. I actually went out and reviewed a clip of an answer that I gave. And I realized that there is a need for some clarification. It should have been obvious. I thought it would be obvious, but I would like to clarify just in case it wasn't. In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't or why it wouldn't be Russia.
All right, so there you got the President of the United States yesterday afternoon in the Roosevelt Room clarifying what he had said at that press conference with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki. Newt Gingrich joins us right now, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor. He's also got a great new book out. It's called Trump's America. Mr. Speaker, before the president clarified, you said of the mistake, you said it was the most serious mistake of his presidency. Now you've heard him clarify, says that he misspoke, problem with the double negative. What do you think?
Well, if you read the entire text of what he said in the Roosevelt Room, he goes on at length reinforcing his belief in the American intelligence agencies and, by the way, pointing out that his critics are the people who failed. When you see John Brennan or you see other people who are Jim Clapper talking on television, those were the guys who were in charge in 2016. So their hysteria and their strong language, they're the failures. Trump was a candidate. He wasn't in charge of national security. They were, and they failed. I thought that his correction was important. I frankly think he could give a major speech and put in context. I mean, a lot of the stuff we've heard, and I was as direct as I was the other day because I felt it was important to get his attention. He's not a guy, as you know, he's not a guy who likes to correct himself or likes to admit he made a mistake. And I thought this was a big enough one that he simply had to stop and set the record straight. But let's also look at the record. Obama was very weak in Ukraine. Trump has authorized the sale of offensive weapons to the Ukrainians to defend themselves. Trump has expelled 60 Russian intelligence people from the United States. He has closed 4 Russian offices in the United States. He went to NATO to do what? To get them to increase their spending so they would be stronger in containing Russia. He lectured the Chancellor of Germany about what? About buying natural gas from Russia and propping up Putin. So to suggest that somehow Trump is some patsy for Putin requires you to deny everything that he's done, and that's why correcting that one mistake, I thought, was very important.
We want to get your...
Just real quick, Leon Panetta, the former CIA director, says the way Trump behaves is clear signal the Russians have something on him. Do you want to counter that, or you want to agree with that?
Sure, I think John Brennan is a total disgrace.
No, I'm Leon Panetta.
I think he was a failure. Yeah. Well, in Panetta's case, I was Brennan who called it treasonous. In Panetta's case, I'd like to know why, when he was advising Obama, they didn't provide offensive weapons to Ukraine, why they didn't do the things to increase spending at NATO, why, I just think all of a sudden you have this revisionist history from the left. The fact is that Obama was totally ineffective. Hillary Clinton's reset button was a joke. She gave the Russians access to uranium that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So when I look at the totality of the Obama period, it seems to me that Trump has been so much tougher than Obama was that there's no question. And I don't know why Leon would say that. I mean, Leon's a pretty balanced guy. But I thought it was Brennan just because it sounded like Brennan, who was pretty unbalanced.
I'll add something to that, too. The Russians would not be in the Middle East again if President Obama enforced his red line in Syria. That left an opening for the Russians to come back in, start taking the so-called weapons of mass destruction, that poison gas, out. By the way, they left almost all of it in. And next thing you know, they're flying their planes, and their presence in Syria is where it is today.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that compared to, I mean, in terms of who was softer on Putin, I think that Trump has fired about 125 missiles into Syria in order to enforce our disagreement with the use of chemical weapons. As I said a minute ago, he expelled, in supporting Great Britain, he expelled 60 Russian officers who were in the United States. He closed 4 offices.
Right.
I didn't see anything like that out of Obama. So, but I'm not going to say that Obama, therefore, was a puppet of Putin. And I'm frankly very surprised that somebody as rational as Leon Panetta would have said that.
Yeah. Well, the president's saying it's Trump derangement syndrome, why the left is treating him this way. This is his latest tweet. He said, some people hate the fact that I get along well with President Putin of Russia. They would rather go to war than see this. It's called Trump derangement syndrome.
Well, you do remember that on the left, they had 4 different sets of signs to oppose any of the 4 people that Trump picked to be the U.S. Supreme Court justice. So it gives you some flavor. You know, they wake up in the morning, they know Trump has done something wrong. They just don't know what it is yet. But they know that they'll be outraged. You know, they know they're going to spend the day being outraged. They just don't know exactly what it is they're going to be outraged by. But I want to go back. This was a very important moment for this president. If he had not fixed this, if he had not had that talk in the Roosevelt room, if he had not gone on to reinforce the American intelligence system, I think that we'd be in a much bigger mess right now. And I'm really delighted that he took a serious look at it. He hates to correct himself. It's not who he is. But I think he did the right thing, and I think he did it well.
All right. Newt Gingrich joining us today with his perspective. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Thanks.